Okay. So we will call the Board of Commissioners meeting to order at 10:07. Sorry for the delay. We were having some live stream issues. All those who are able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, do we have any public comment for items not appearing on today's agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to additions to the agenda. And I believe our Administrator John Fronick has a slight change on the agenda.
Yes, the declared check run amount that was posted on the agenda did not account for automated payments. As you know, we've implemented a new ERP system, and so we're still working out some of the bugs in that system to account for the total amount that shows at the top of the check run. So just for mention here, the check run total is actually $856,955.69. De minimis relative to the actual amount that was declared on the posted agenda.
Do we need to make a motion or anything on that, or just announce it?
It was it's an announcement, so.
Okay, so very slight change on the agenda for a slightly different check run number. But of course, all the checks are being paid on schedule, so it's essentially de minimis at this point.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Then moving on to the meeting minutes, any changes to the meeting minutes? No? Take a motion then.
We'll move to approve the minutes from the meeting held August 20th.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the meeting held August 20th. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose nay. Motion carries. Now we have two important proclamations where there's a little bit of a relationship between the two. And the first one is proclamation number 42, proclaiming August 31st as Overdose Awareness Day and September 24th as National Recovery Month in Center County. And I believe Carrie and Jessica will be covering that. So thanks for coming.
Yes, good morning.
It's our criminal justice planning team, and I know you're very heavily involved with recovery and overdose awareness.
Yes. So good morning. I come before the board to request recognition of International Overdose Awareness Day, which is August 31st, and then National Recovery Month, which is the entire month of September. So we will once again have our annual Candlelight Remembrance Ceremony tomorrow evening, August 28th at 6:30 p.m. This year we'll be at Talleyrand Park instead of in front of the courthouse, just due to the construction. And we are going to be there in the evening to honor loved ones lost to an overdose. We welcome family and friends to share stories and pictures and memories of their loved ones. Because we need to remember these are our community members. These are someone's son or daughter, someone's mother, father, husbands, wives, and they just want to be remembered for the good things they did and not for their indiscretions. So there's still a lot of stigma associated with addiction and opioid use and even harm reduction efforts. And those families, when they lose their loved one, even have stigma associated with trying to grieve that person because of their overdose. So the courthouse will be illuminated purple once again. So we're very happy about that. And I have some staggering numbers, as I do every year. So since 2013, Pennsylvania has exceeded over 47,000 individuals have lost their lives as a result of a drug overdose. And our total since that time is 177 of those are Center Countyans. I saw a new estimate that we lose one Pennsylvanian every 2 hours to an overdose. And it also affects 1 in 4 families. So the sooner we start to think of addiction as a chronic disease, the better off we're going to be to try to help those. We have a lot of resources in the county. Our partners, both at our drug and alcohol office and then the various treatment providers, do wonderful work. And, treatment is effective and recovery does work. And we know that we secure a lot of funding for different programs like our MAT program at the jail to try to help those with substance use disorder. So we're constantly looking for new ways to assist those into recovery. So, yeah. So tomorrow night, 6:30, Talleyrand Park. And it's going to be very warm, but hopefully the thunderstorm will hold off so it's not wet as well.
All right, well, I'll probably be wearing short sleeves with the temperature. Anything you'd like to add, Jessica?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, so you can get free naloxone tests at Applegate Recovery, which is by Tractor Supply on the Benner Pike. They'll also be there tomorrow night to provide.
Yeah, some of our treatment providers have requested to come and show support and also offer resources. Applegate is a designated entity from the state, so they are often at events handing out Narcan. I know that Center County Drug and Alcohol is in the process of becoming a recognized entity, so they will also be able to have that. And our jail has naloxone to give to those exiting the facility, should they choose to take that. So we're trying to really get that out there.
And I know naloxone is highly effective if administered quickly enough. I know a couple of weeks, I think, after we equipped our sheriff's vehicles with naloxone, they made a save right here in Bellefonte. So it does save a lot of lives. And as you mentioned, recovery is possible. A lot of people actually are in active recovery and doing great and contributing to the community. So
Estimated 23 million.
23 million people in recovery. Well, as you mentioned, 1 family in 4 is affected by this, and that's a lot of families.
Yes.
Commissioner Concepcion, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, thanks for being here to highlight this important issue and that treatment is available, and that medicated assisted treatment is evidence-based and can save lives. And that there's no shame in going to get treatment. There's no shame in taking medication for this, we know that saves lives and keeps families together. And, there's a lot that we can do through publicizing the importance of treatment and the effectiveness of treatment to make sure people know that there's help out there and they're not alone.
Definitely. Thursday night is the annual Lion Bash, and we have done that for many years now. So we'll take resource guides and information to the State College community, and I think that's a wonderful opportunity to spread awareness.
And I know the HOPE initiative has been a successful part of the community's response to the opioid epidemic, and Commissioner Dersham, you've been heavily involved with that.
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't recognize we have our 2 representatives from our coroner's office here, and they've been extremely helpful with us in keeping track of the stats and the figures, and statistically, we probably are ahead of the curve here in Center County compared to a lot of areas in the state.
Yeah.
However, we still, one loss by overdose is too many, and I just want to say thank you not only for them to give us sort of real-time information every month, but also to our criminal justice planning staff who really works tirelessly to make sure that we have the latest data, because if you try to wrap your head about what's going on with the overdose situation, it's not just heroin, it's not just fentanyl. There's a whole variety of different chemicals that have infested our communities, and we see it at the jail, we see it all throughout the community. But I think Amber makes a good point. It's not just think about this as a like over there problem. The chances are everybody in this room and everybody within hearing distance of my voice is going to know somebody that struggled with this disease. And to be honest with you, I have to say that the faster we get to the acceptance that this is a chronic illness and we need to address it like that, the faster we're going to be at trying to solve some of the bigger issues. It's all throughout our community, and it literally is. It's something that I'm sure Deb and her office deals with almost on a daily basis, and I know law enforcement does, and I know the healthcare community does. But if you do have somebody at risk or know somebody that's at risk, please get the Narcan out there. Keep it around. It's almost like having an an AED in your home. That in the event that you need it, it's there. Every business, every restaurant, every housing development, these should be as common as first aid kits. And that's how we're going to beat this, because you can't cure somebody if they're dead. And unfortunately, so many families have experienced this tragedy that it really is something that we need to address and take on head on, because it's a scourge. And I think we've got a great team, and I think we're going to hear a little bit about other members of the team countywide that provide a safety net for our community. But this is something that really is important, and the remembrance ceremony is an opportunity for us to grieve and to spend time with the family members who, oftentimes no fault of their own, have been find themselves in a situation that is tragic, and there shouldn't be any any stigma to this. It's something that can happen, and I think we all know somebody that's been attached to this problem, and it's something that is important that we recognize and take full on and take ownership of it as a community to solve it. And I do, again, want to thank everybody in and out of this room who has a big or small part in making sure that our community and our children and our populace are protected. So thank you.
Great.
And remembering this is an issue that can affect folks of any age. That
Oh, yeah.
yes, whether someone is a young person or, sometimes older folks who've gone through surgeries or had some kind of injury that has led to needing to use, pain management. And sometimes, that can lead to addiction issues, and they need help working through it, and there's help out there.
Well, I do, you bring up a really good point. I remember when we used to go into the hospital, and there'd be a chart with a happy face and a frowny face. It's like, where are you on the pain scale? Well, I think we've come a long way since then in how we administer medication, particularly opiates, and the regulation of pain. And we've come a long way, and we need to continue that journey to make sure that we find more effective ways to keep people safe. So.
Yes.
So as Commissioner Dershowitz mentioned, although 1 in 4 families are directly affected by overdose deaths, all families are affected by addiction. And the entire next month is National Recovery Month, and we need to keep everyone in mind and support all of our fellow citizens who are struggling with that issue. You said nationally it's about 23 million people are in active recovery.
Yeah. And it is truly possible. It's not an easy road.
No.
And we really thank our partners over at our Drug and Alcohol Office who work tirelessly to help those, and then our treatment providers. There's never enough treatment providers, never enough bed spaces, but there's still cause to reach out for help, and they'll make those things happen.
Exactly.
For anyone who's watching, what would be the best number to reach out to?
So our drug and alcohol office. The daytime number is 814-355-6744. And then after hours, normal business hours or over the weekend, it's 1-800-643-5432. So Jessica did a flyer this year for the ceremony, and then we also included that information on the back and a QR code for all of our medication collection boxes, and then information about how to get Narcan from Applegate. So
Thank you.
we tried to have those at Grange Fair. We actually put 2,800. They were put in all the welcome bags for all the tenters and campers at the fair. So we really wanted to get the information out about the ceremony and then about resources for support.
Yes, good point about the collection boxes for unused and expired medications. We'd like to thank the sheriff for his assistance with that, and I believe they collect dozens and dozens of pounds
Yes.
every run.
Yes.
And pills are tiny and don't weigh much.
Yeah.
So that's a
Yes.
lot of pills.
So, and all of our municipal police departments pretty much have a collection box, and the sheriff has too, and then a lot of the local pharmacies, the chain pharmacies have added them, like Wise's has them. And we don't even account their collection amounts into our totals.
Yes.
So it's good that they're accessible. It's something everyone can do, is to clean out, their medicine cabinets when something's expired or not in need.
And don't
Yeah.
flush it into the water supply.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
that's another good point. Yeah, the fish don't need that stuff. No. All right, unless there's anything else, I think we could take a motion to adopt the proclamation then.
I will move to adopt Proclamation 42 of 2024 proclaiming August 31st, 2024 as Overdose Awareness Day and September 2024 as National Recovery Month in Center County.
And I will second that.
We have a motion, a second, to adopt proclamation number 42, proclaiming August 31st as Overdose Awareness Day and September as National Recovery Month in Center County. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose nay. Motion carries. Come on up for the photo.
You might. Allow me.
Probably people center on Bellefonte on the map, right?
Here, I think I might need you to stand straight and then everyone.
Okay, everybody else
just
rotate
a
a tiny
little.
bit.
You smile.
Everyone go that way just a little.
Tiny bit? Okay.
Yeah, the tiniest,
All right,
right
move
now.
a little closer to Mill High.
Excellent, so, 3, 2, 1.
Thank
Jessica. Thanks, Carrie.
Please,
Yes, that's on my calendar. Yep.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Yes.
If not before.
Thanks, JJ.
You gonna bring the music, Jessica? All right. We're all set.
All right, and discussing items that affect all families in Center County. We now have proclamation number 43, proclaiming September as Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month, and September 10th as Suicide Awareness and Prevention Day in Center County. And we have Marissa Vasari and Hannah Brewster from the Jana Marie Foundation here to talk about something that probably not a stretch to say it affects every extended family in Center County.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Yes, thank you so much for having us. So September is Suicide Prevention Month, and as you have mentioned, this is something that affects all of us in a lot of different ways, and it's something that we need to work on, not just during the month of September, but 365 days of the year. As you are aware, in 2011, I lost my older sister Jana to suicide, and it's something that has affected our family in a lot of different ways, not just the physical loss of her, but also the lead up to that. And so mental health is something that we all have. It's something that we're all on a spectrum for, and we need to be making sure that we're increasing those protective factors so that we can really build supportive networks for our young people, for our neighbors, for our family members, for our older adults in our lives, for every single person that is out there. And we need to be making sure that people are aware that there is help and there is hope. And we talk a lot about recovery when it comes to substance use. We see a lot of overlap between the two causes. But there's also hope for recovery when it comes to those thoughts of suicide. So this is something that the Jana Marie Foundation and many of our partners work on each and every day. And we have a lot of different ways to get involved during the month of September. So on September 3rd, we have our annual suicide prevention rally that is hosted by the Center County Suicide Prevention Task Force. That's from 12 to 12:30 at the Bellefonte Courthouse stairs. And we'll have live music by Jim Colbert, we'll have speakers, and it's just a way to come out, learn about the resources, show our support for the safety networks that are out there, and to learn about some of the different initiatives that are happening in Center County with all of the partners that are part of that Center County Suicide Prevention Task Force. And then on September 10th is our annual Evening of Hope, Healing, and Remembrance.
Yeah, that'll be held at the Bullsburg Fire Hall this year, so a new location. And it's a wonderful night to come together for those who've lost individuals to suicide, their support networks, really anyone from the public who wants to come out and help us end that stigma. We'll have live music, speakers. Typically we have members of the community who come out and dance, other forms of creative expression, just to show that support and show again that we can grieve together, but also find hope together and brings awareness to those resources.
Yeah. And on September 12th, we're really excited for an Eagle Scout project that is happening. So Connor McGinnis is a candidate for Eagle Scout, and he has chosen his project to help raise awareness for mental health and suicide prevention, and will be hosting a Teens Night in Music at the Bull Barn. And so the music's going to start at 7 o'clock, doors open at 6:30, and it should be a really uplifting evening that really showcases a lot of the talent that we have of young people in our community. So those are just some of the different events that are out there. And of course, Jana Marie Foundation offers evidence-based education year-round. So we do offer 2 free courses of QPR, or Question, Persuade, Refer, Suicide Prevention, each month. And right now those are virtual to try to make them more accessible to everyone. It's 90 minutes of your time, but you get to learn about what are those signs and symptoms and how we can engage to question, persuade, and refer someone to safety. We also just started offering CALM trainings, CALM conversations. So that's counseling on access to lethal means. So we want to make sure that people are aware of ways that we can keep our environment safe, whether that be with guns that we might have in our home for hunting or other purposes, as well as medications. So working very closely with the HOPE Initiative, trying to make sure people are aware of conversations that we can have that can increase to that safety and environment. We also offer mental health first aid as well. So that's a little bit of a longer course, a longer commitment. It's about 6.5 to 7.5 hours, depending on which version you use. But it's great because it looks at mental health overall and looks at those early worsening and crisis symptoms and signs, and then ways that we can engage in each one of those areas to really help someone who might be going through that difficult time. The teen version of mental health first aid is actually offered in for students in State College School District, Bellefonte School District, Penns Valley, Bald Eagle, as well as some that are in the surrounding counties as well. And that's 4.5 hours of education that students receive in either 9th or 10th grade that provide that information as well. So.
That's wonderful. I'm going to try to be 2 different places at the same time on Thursday, September 12th. I know Mr. McGinnis and his dad, so I had it blocked off, but you're saying it's 6:30?
6:30 is when the doors open, and
the-
music will start at 7.
At 7?
Yes.
Okay. And I believe that's at Millbrook Marsh?
It is at the Bollesburg Play Barn.
Oh, okay.
Barn Playhouse.
Bull
Yeah, I
Barn
didn't have a
Playhouse, thank you.
location. Okay. Wolfsburg
Yes.
Playhouse.
And I will just draw notice too, Jana Marie Foundation worked with several individuals across the state to create a statewide guide to suicide prevention that was just released. So there is a QR code in your folder as well, and that has a lot of really great resources in it, including ways to get involved during the month of September and beyond.
Great. I've got that updated on my calendar, and now I have the
Excellent.
right location.
Perfect, that's always helpful.
Because before it was just a quick conversation at an Eagle Scout Court of Honor, so I just blocked it.
Yes,
Um,
thank you.
So is that up on your Facebook page, or?
It
Okay,
is.
Good.
Yes. Yeah, we have all of our events up on our Facebook page as well as on our website, so you can find them at either location.
Wonderful. And there is a new way for people to seek help, and that's the 988 line.
Yes.
With my service on the 911 Advisory Board, I've raised quite a lot of kerfuffle about funding the 988 service. And so there is now some funding from the state of Pennsylvania to ensure that when you call that number, there is somebody there to answer the call and assist and de-escalate and work with someone where it is an emergency, but you might not actually want a police officer showing up immediately.
Absolutely. Yeah, 988 is an amazing resource that is available nationwide. You can call, you can text, you can go online and chat, so whichever way is most convenient for you. And it is that way to be able to talk to someone, and they can lend that listening ear, they can de-escalate, they can figure out what resources would be best for the situation at hand. And you can call for yourself, or you can call on behalf of
Yes.
someone. So if you're not sure how to have a conversation with someone, or you're worried and you don't know what resources are there, you can always call 988, and they can help talk you through that and make sure that that individual is safe.
Yes. I just wanted to get that in there before we got in too deep.
Yes,
Commissioner
thank
Concepcion,
you.
comments or questions?
So thank you for all the work you do raising awareness on this issue and then also supporting survivors of suicide loss. I was, in thinking about this meeting today, I was reading some of the statistics on this and see that for every person who is lost to suicide, it usually has a very close impact on about 130 people.
Yes.
So the sort of ripples of effects go beyond the immediate family throughout an entire community when we lose someone to suicide. And I think the work that you're doing is both, helping survivors have a place to come and tell their stories and have, some support, and also keeping these conversations open so that folks throughout our community can have a sense of warning signs and that there are places to go to get help. Our family was touched by this really closely this year when our dear friends lost their little girl to suicide earlier this May. And you could see the ripple effects of that were significant. And it really, in having conversations with my daughter and other, kids who were close to the daughter who was lost in our community, it's really important for them to know, for kids to know, even from a young age, kind of some of the warning signs of mental health needs and what the steps are that they can take, even when they're kids. Like who can they call, who's the, that there is help there, and that there's people to reach out to. And I think you provide that, and that help is in our schools as well, and we need kids to know where, what those routes are, so.
Yeah, that's so important. We do, bring suicide prevention in, especially to our 8th grade students within the district. And then there's mental health earlier in the years as well. And one of the things that we stress is, talking to those trusted adults. Some that might be the counselors. For some individuals, that might be scary to go to a counselor. And so that might be a teacher that they really trust or look up to, a parent, a neighbor. It doesn't really matter who we tell, but making sure that that information isn't staying with us if we're worried about someone. And then also, it's really important to recognize, we talk about 988, and that's such an important number, but for our students and even for parents, there is Safe to Say as well, and that's always a reporting system that we can use, and that does go to a team of individuals who take those calls very seriously, and are able to jump right into action to help someone. And so that's always an avenue that our students can utilize as well.
Thanks.
Hey, Commissioner Dershowitz, comments?
Well, actually, I'm really thrilled that you are part of an established organization that actually is boots on the ground, allowing things to get done. We oftentimes want to talk about the problem, but oftentimes we leave out the solution. And I think the Jana Marie Foundation and a lot of other folks in the community, our CIT program, I think we actively are trying to find ways to provide help for folks, whether it's this QPR or whether it's mental health first aid, whether it's 988. There's such a network of opportunities out there for people to learn and to find solutions. One of the things that challenges me is, like, it seems like we are in a mental health crisis as a nation, and what's changed? I don't remember it. I remember things happening when I was a child, but today it seems like with social media and all the other challenges that there must be a compound effect here somehow that we really, as a society, need to get our heads and hearts around, because we cannot go on in a world that people are continually thinking that suicidal ideation is a way out. We've got to come up with other solutions and other paths forward. But thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for obviously bringing so many objective solutions to what I would consider one of our top problems. And whether it's the civilian population or the veteran population, we all know that there are challenges out there beyond, maybe beyond our abilities, but we continue to work on them, and with your help, hopefully we'll solve a bunch of them, so.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
requires those upstream approaches, right? We got to figure out new ways to meet people with where they're at and to work on building that resiliency. So resiliency is like a muscle, and it's something that takes time to build, and it's something that we need to work on each and every day. And it's figuring out how can we reach people with where they're at. One of the things that we're really excited for is we're going to be getting a wellness vehicle. So we're going to make it into like a calming room, but we'll be able to do education right from it. So we're going to be going more into our rural communities where sometimes that access to care is a little bit harder to get. And we'll be able to go right in there. There'll be that space where they can decompress, but we'll also have resources on it. We're going to be able to run QPRs or mental health first aid trainings right from that vehicle. So we'll have a screen. We can set it up outside, pop-up tents, all that good stuff. We'll also be able to work on resiliency. So we have some different curriculum and some different activities that we can do that really work on building that. And it also helps with those other protective factors as well. So community bonding, finding those trusting adults that they can lead to. So we're really excited to be able to bring this initiative to life. And so.
Have you had a good working relationships with the local school districts? Because it would seem to me that children, particularly in the middle school to high school age, would be the ones that would be
Yes.
most at risk. And it seems to me that they probably have a little better opportunity to not only recognize the problem, but be able to address it with your help.
Yeah, so we work very closely with all of the school districts in Center County, as well as like the surrounding counties. So Tyrone, which is like a border county, and some other ones as well. And we do offer education to teachers and educators and staff that they have. So that usually happens before the school year or beginning of the school year, that they go through different training programs. We also offer, like I said, teen mental health first aid out there to all of our districts, except for Phillipsburg right now. We do offer groups as well at all of the districts. So those would be individuals who might need a little extra support, but not to the point of needing that one-on-one counseling. And so we can go in and teach some different skills and coping mechanisms for them. So we offer all of that through the schools. We set up actually a wellness room and space for educators at State College High School, just because we know that while our students are sometimes going through some different challenges, our educators are as well, and sometimes we overlook them. So really wanting to make sure that they're taking care of themselves so they can show up and fully be there to take care of our kids. So finding a lot of really innovative ways that we can reach out to the schools. We'll be in State College High School for the next, 3 weeks, doing different activities for Suicide Prevention Month, but really focused on, again, that resiliency and that hope side of it, as well as making sure 988 is out there and that number.
Wonderful.
Yes.
You're very inspirational.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks for all of your work in this area, and county staff and all of the counselors that we contract with, and all of the residency programs for both youth and adults that we also work with. And I want to remind the folks at home that mental health funding is one of the 3 highest priorities for the county commissioners statewide. And with the exception of a $20 million one-time bump for the current budget year, we have not seen an increase in mental health funding in 14 years in Pennsylvania. So major priority of the commissioners statewide. Unless there's anything else, I think we could take a motion.
Thank you.
I will move to adopt Proclamation 43 of 2024, proclaiming September 2024 as Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month and September 10th, 2024 as Suicide Awareness and Prevention Day in Center County.
And I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Proclamation number 43, proclaiming September as Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month and September 10th as Suicide Awareness and Prevention Day in Center County. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Coming up for your photo and proclamation.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
Thank
Ann.
you.
Thanks,
Thank
Marissa,
you.
as always. So talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
All right, and now moving on after those two important proclamations to contracts and authorizations. I believe we have one from Glenn at the Center County Correctional Facility.
Good morning.
All right.
We have for your consideration to approve a no-cost business associate agreement between Center County and Prime Care Medical. This agreement just basically specifies the manner in which we can release incarcerated individuals' medical records and what county staff can access them. Currently, myself and both deputies are the only county staff authorized to access medical records. Most of the time, we don't even do that. We just call the medical supervisor and say, hey,
Yeah.
can you find this for me? Because it's easier because they know right where it's
Yeah.
at. So Prime Care wanted this in an agreement. They're doing it with all their locations. Clearly as to who can access it and who we're allowed to give that to. And with HIPAA, we don't really give out that information. Anybody requests that, we refer them to Prime Care. So, pretty cut and dried.
All right. Thanks for the explanation. Glenn, any questions, Commissioner Concepcion?
Yeah, so it's essentially like it's like a HIPAA agreement in terms
Yes.
of ensuring confidentiality.
Yeah, that I can't just willy-nilly give Aaron a copy of an incarcerated individual's medical record.
Right.
And if somebody submits right to know stuff for medical information, that automatically goes to Prime Care. We don't even delve in it. So, yeah.
Commissioner Dershowitz, anything?
I think it's important. HIPAA is a very, very, institutionalized system now that we have to adhere to. So
Yep.
thank you for bringing this to our attention, and be happy to make sure we restructure it however we need to keep all information private and safe.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, looks like we could take a motion then.
I'll move to add the agreement with Prime Care Medical to next week's consent agenda.
I will second that.
We have a motion, a second, to add the agreement with Prime Care Medical, Inc. to next week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Thank you very
Thanks.
much, Glenn. Now our Recorder of Deeds, Joe Davidson, will join us with a proposal for, I think, scanning and reformatting some documents.
Yes, I'm going to come up here and sit
All right.
because I got something to share with you.
Ah,
I'm here today to ask the board to approve a statement of work with RBA Professional Data Systems for reformatting and uploading documents, which we are going to call the James Harris Survey Notes. And I brought a sample with me today of some of the things that we're going to be doing here. This particular document here is 248 years old. And
my
we'll pass this around, but be very,
Gentle,
very gentle.
gentle.
How about we look at it without touching
Yeah.
it?
No, you can go ahead and pass it around. It's
I
okay.
don't want to be responsible for.
James, the Reverend James Harris was a deputy surveyor in Pennsylvania. And he was actually the first postmaster in Bellefonte. Reverend James Harris was born in February 1755 in Mifflintown in Juneau County. And he became a deputy surveyor for the state of Pennsylvania. And he ultimately married a Dunlap and moved to Bellefonte. And upon his demise, I think the rumor has it at least that his estate found a box of his survey notes that he did and collected while he was deputy surveyor in and for Center County. So we have that equipment or these notes in our office. They've been in a cardboard box, presumably since they were turned over to the Recorder of Deeds office sometime in the 1800s by his family. And years ago, I had the opportunity to get those imaged, these particular documents imaged, and we made PDF copies of, there's approximately 722 of these packages, of these documents. And of course, some of them are two-sided. So that comes out to about 1,575 images. And so what we're going to do, this project is going to take those 1,575 images and we'll convert them from a PDF to a TIFF image. And we're going to upload them to our system, and we're going to create an index that they can be accessed by Grantor and Grantee directly through the computer system. So that's what we're here to do, ask for the approval of the amount to do that. I think is $3,203.75.
So Joe, I have to be the one that brings this up. We were Northumberland County at that time. There was no Center County.
Correct. Let me just read this to you, if you don't mind. This says, this is a draft of a tract of land situate about 7 miles from the bald eagle nest in the county of Northumberland. Surveyed the blank day of October 1775 in pursuance of a warrant dated the 5th day of December 1774 from Elijah Weed, containing 301 acres and allowances for roads and etc. And this is returned into the survey's office the 16th day of April 1776.
What was the accuracy of the measurements at that time? And
Well,
obviously, they did not have the technology to do amazing accuracy, but I'm just curious.
well, they did it with chains and rods. And the chains and rods were, a rod is 16 and a half feet. And there were chain carriers that the deputy surveyors hired, and then there were assistant chain carriers. And it was very important at the time that the chain carriers were of the utmost integrity. Because as you can imagine, if you were 18 chains away and you had a little, you skipped on a couple links there, that could make a world of difference in a survey that was, several hundred acres. So the equipment that they had at that time, it was accurate, but it was the integrity of the people that were using that equipment that was sometimes questionable or
Suspect.
suspect, yeah.
And-
So I gotta stress too, these records are not official Recorder of Deeds office records. They're going to be indexed by Grantee and Grantor, but they're going to be considered historical reference documents only. They're not for conveyance or engineering purposes. They're only reference documents for historical purposes.
And they look like they were written literally with quill pens. And thank God back then they used acid-free paper. So we can still see it and
Well,
use it today.
It actually wasn't acid-free, and that's the problem, is the iron in the ink created rust, and as you can see, it did put some holes in some of the
All right.
papers. So, but, of the 772 of these that we have the images for, hopefully, when we get them on the system, they will be preserved forever and ever.
Do you have
Very
a strategy for how to preserve the physical documents?
No,
Okay.
well, there is, but since these are not they're not actual Recorder of Deeds official records, we're not gonna spend the money to encapsulate these and deacidify them and clean and
Okay.
make them so that they'll last another 200 years.
Okay, I'm gonna put you in touch with somebody at Penn State who might be able to help with that.
Well, we've done lots of projects where the official Recorder of Deeds records are preserved, protected, and encapsulated for, so they don't deteriorate any further.
Okay.
But since these aren't official records, I don't think it's, and we're going to have an image of them after this available on our system. It's not really critical that we preserve the originals.
I think we should try
See,
to.
it might be worth doing, just for the sake of doing it. Historically, these
Well,
are.
I've gotten several proposals on it, and, to do a document, for instance, like this, okay, you would be talking about probably anywhere between $300 and $500.
Wow.
And then what they would do is they would, of course, take all the tape off of there, the mending, and they would deacidify it, they would clean it, and they would neutralize the pH in the paper, and then encapsulate it. So it's a very labor-intensive process to do, and it's, of course, both sides.
Right.
So,
Well, there may
There may be
be,
something in between that we can do that's
Right.
like.
and there may be there may be pieces of that collection that
Yeah.
are specifically important that maybe we can look at or talk about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
somebody
yeah.
from Center County Historical Society asked me just recently about this question of some of these documents and if they could help us with some preservation. So,
But Northumberland County was a huge part of Pennsylvania at one point. And I know Clinton County came from a conglomeration of Center County, Cumberland County, Northumberland County, and et cetera. And, you know, the formation of counties in Pennsylvania's
Yep.
got its own unique history
Yeah.
that's
and
fascinating.
Northumberland was just about everything west and north of the Susquehanna River. So if you could please approve the statement of work with RBA. Hopefully, they'll have this done by September 30th, and we can put them on our system to have yet another resource for title searchers and historians to be able to look at and reference.
There was a little thing on there about like a little cherry tree here, and you know, you mentioned, you know, I'm sure some of those historical markers have since passed, but that is fascinating.
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, the descriptions here are, you know, are somewhat comical to look at. I mean, this one says, draft of a tract of land situate on the left-hand branch of Penns Creek in Potter Township in Northumberland County, surveyed the 22nd day of June 1768 in pursuance of a order of survey dated the 23rd day of March 1776, number 3140. Now, the actual meets and bounds here says that there's a sugar tree as one corner, and then it goes on and lists the bearings and the distances, and then to another sugar tree, and then a walnut, and a spruce.
I'm assuming a sugar tree would be a sugar maple, maybe?
Wow, it says sugar tree on here.
So the chances of them being two honey trees that close together would be iffy.
Well, it's interesting because this goes back to even the, you know, pre-United States of America. This is when we were still colonial America.
Right.
Fascinating.
Yeah, well, one of the issues, again, getting back to those surveyors, was, you know, they had to deal with, in that time frame, Indians.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so Indians saw, you know, many times as the surveyors encroaching on their land.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thanks for bringing that to us. That's again, that's fascinating.
Looks like we could take a motion now.
I'll move to add the proposal with RBA Professional Data Systems to next week's consent agenda.
I will second that.
We have motion and a second to add the proposal with RBA Professional Data Systems to next week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Thanks,
Thanks,
Joe.
yeah, thank you. And if I could just take a moment here, I want to take a shout out to all the people that work the county tent at the
Yes.
Grange Fair.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This year, we provided those, the people at the tent with the rack card to give information about our recording activity and information notification system, or the deed fraud program that we have that's free to sign up. And apparently, they must have handed out, or people must have picked these up in droves at the fair, because since Monday morning at 8:30, when we opened up the office, we've had more sign up and notifications for the deed fraud program than we had all month of July and June put together. So all those people that picked up one of these little brochures or rack cards at the fair, you're signing up, and we appreciate it, and we encourage people, if you need more information to sign up for the free service, you got to visit ccrain.org. That's ccrain.org on the World Wide Web. It's easy, it's free. There's no reason why you shouldn't do it if you're a property owner in
And
Seneca.
it tracks any transactions involving a property.
Correct. If you put Steve Dersham in there, or Stephen Dersham, or S. Dersham, and we get a hit on one of those names, you'll get an email almost instantaneously
Good to know.
as it's happening. So
Good.
hopefully it will help prevent deed fraud.
And if somebody would get that email or that notification, and there would be some suspect activity, you would be able to address that with them at that point to find out what exactly is happening?
If they didn't authorize any activity on their account, which caused that hit to happen, then you could call our office and we can give you exactly the document that was recorded and the date and the time and all those details regarding it, and you can hopefully take steps to make it
Correct
right.
it. Okay, thank you.
Great, I might have passed a few of those cards out at the fair, Joe, so.
Oh, you have?
I did, yeah.
Well, thank you
Yeah.
very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Okay,
Fine.
Any
Thanks, Joe.
questions?
Thank you.
great.
No. All right, now we have Norm from 911 Emergency Communications with a contract addendum.
Good morning. Requesting approval for a contract addendum with Mission Critical Partners to add $84,444.48 to existing project management contract. MCP will specifically be responsible for developing 4 potential conventional tower sites to enhance coverage in 3 main geographical areas with lower quality trunking radio coverage. These sites are focused to improve radio coverage for police, fire, and EMS in eastern Miles Township, Poe Valley, Poe Patty, and the Orviston areas of Center County. 3 sites are state-owned, and 1 site is a private microwave site. Many of these outlying areas are seeing increased recreational activity with biking, hiking, boating, and ATV use, and general outdoor activities. Improved radio coverage will help with everyday activity and any emergency in this areas. This is the planning phase, phase 1. Once completed, we would like to start building some or all these sites in our 2025 capital project. MCP will evaluate coverage, complete site survey, evaluate compound location, confirm zoning requirements, and provide site acquisition support from the property owner. The new contract total is not to exceed $149,444.48 for the period of January 1, 2024 to December 31st, 2024.
Great, well, thanks for moving this forward, Norm. It has been an initiative of the commissioners. Many counties in Pennsylvania have pretty good coverage if you're in an actual vehicle, but for search and rescue type missions, there's a lot of handheld devices, and we do have a couple of areas left in the county that the coverage for handheld devices isn't that great, and they also happen to be areas of very high recreational activity. So appreciate you moving this forward.
We tested to the locations with temporary tower testing, and they work pretty well in the Miles Township and Poe Valley area. So we're very hopeful that this will give a lot better radio coverage.
Wonderful. Commissioner
Good.
Concepcion, any comments or questions?
Sounds like a good plan.
Commissioner Dershowitz?
I'm fine, thank you.
Great,
I'll
we'll take a
move
motion then.
To add the addendum then with Mission Critical Partners to next week's consent agenda.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to add the addendum with Mission Critical Partners to next week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Great, thanks,
Thank
Norm.
you.
Thank you.
All right, now Ray from Planning has a large grant agreement.
Yes, thank you, Commissioners. Good morning. I have a consideration for your approval of a grant agreement with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania acting through the Office of Budget for the CPI Health Sciences Building Redevelopment Project through the Redevelopment Assistance Capital Program, otherwise known as RACP. The grant total through RACP is $4 million and will terminate 3 years from the effective date of this agreement. The State Office of Budget gives us 20 business days to respond to this agreement. We're well within that since we received it on August 19th. 5 other offices at the state level and other agencies will further review this agreement upon execution. The agreement includes special conditions for CPI, including site acquisition, site preparation, and construction. I had recently had correspondence with Todd Taylor at CPI. They have held the bid opening and are reviewing their best options at this point and received a 30-day extension from bidders for the construction. Total project for CPI is $1,003,701.
Great, well, thanks for explaining that, Ray. The county is very happy to help CPI with their health sciences building project. I know we did a lot of work for Grange Fair with their equine facilities on similar projects. So really looking forward to this $15 million project. Sounds like they need to get it done by, if I do the math, some point in 2027.
That's correct.
All right. Commissioner Concepcion, comments or questions?
No, just thanks to your office for supporting them and through this project. I know that it takes a certain amount of staff time to be able to get applicants for these grants through the process, and RACFI is a particularly involved process. So thanks
Certainly.
for your support on this. This is a really critical educational area in our community where we really need more people to get the kind of training that these programs will provide.
Yeah, this is going to be, this is going to be a fantastic program when they get it off and running. I think it's going to help the local hospitals, the whole medical community, and it's going to provide healthcare professionals that not only jobs, but a much needed factor in the ability to us provide healthcare services. So I think this is fantastic. Thank you for moving that forward, and I'm glad we can be a small part in making that vision come true.
And as always, like to thank our state legislators and the governor for the funding here in Center County. To Commissioner Dersham's point, we've got a new hospital just opened. Today, they're cutting the ribbon on a major expansion for Mount Nittany's specialty groups over in the Wattle Road area. And in the not too distant future, that new tower at the hospital will also be completed. So, a lot happening in healthcare in the county.
And we're going to need folks to staff it.
Yes, we are. Good. Unless there's any other comments or questions, we'll take a motion.
I will move to approve the grant agreement for the CPI Health Sciences Building Redevelopment Assistance Capital Program Grant.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the grant agreement for the CPI Health Sciences Building Redevelopment Assistance Capital Program. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Thank you, Ray. Moving on to Human Services. Whoa, there's Dave for transportation.
Good morning. Thank you. I come and ask for consideration of acceptance of the Medical Assistance Transportation Program allocation for 2024-2025 in the amount of $993,290. And this amount was approved by Medical Assistance and allows us the opportunity to continue the services we do provide for those that qualify. Last year, we did $836,841 worth of trips, and that totaled out to be about 17,440 trips. So with the allocation increase of $156,000 for this year, that'll put us over 18,000 trips, I'm sure, for the 2024-25 year. So we're getting close to that $1 million mark of trips. Yeah.
Wonderful. We'd like to thank you and your staff for transporting these individuals all over Center County, and on occasion with additional notification to your department as far as Geisinger and Danville.
Yeah, actually, we have, yes. That's become more relevant, not a lot, but more so than in the past, and it's just meeting the needs of these people that have no other way to get places, and we take care of them. So, and the thing with the medical assistance trips, we do have a contractor that does out-of-county stuff for us, and the trips are not real cheap, but at least the medical assistance program funds them 100%. So that's the best part of it.
Great. Commissioner Concepcion, any comments or questions?
No, thank you for working on this expanding need in our community.
Thank you.
Commissioner Dershowitz?
Good, thank you.
I will move to accept the Medical Assistance Transportation Program allocation for fiscal year 24-25.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of accepting the Medical Assistance Transportation Program for the state fiscal year 24-25, do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
And now Julia has several items for Children and Youth Services.
Good morning. The first I have is asking you to consider your approval of the Act 148 fourth quarter fiscal year 23-24 report for Children and Youth Services. This is the final report of the year, of their fiscal year. They came in under allocation they spent about 89% of their entire allocation. Attributing that decrease in allocation spent due primarily to the stabilization of some youth, so they were able to step down into less restrictive and equaling less expensive placements. So that's actually not only are they under budget, but the reasoning for them being under budget is a good one for those children being able to have those accomplishments. So that's my first thing. The next two are renewals of contracts, one with Adelphi Village Incorporated for foster care residential services, dependent delinquent youth. Contract total is $240,000. The county share is $48,000. And then next is with Children's Aid Society in Clearfield County to provide foster care residential services for dependent delinquent youth. Contract total is $54,000, with the county share being $10,800.
Great. Well, we'd like to thank the staff and managers in children and youth. I know the managers are working some extra overtime at this point to keep up with things. Want to thank our contractors who are working with the youth, and want to actually thank the youth themselves for starting to turn things around and needing fewer services. So that's great news.
Yeah.
Commissioner Concepcion, comments or questions? Commissioner Dershowitz?
I'm good, thank you.
We'll take a motion.
I will move to add the Children and Youth Services contracts 1 through 3 to next week's consent agenda.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to add the 3 children and youth services contracts to next week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Great. Thank you, Julia. And we have a consent agenda, which is mostly children and youth services and adult services. We'll take a motion.
I'll move to approve this week's consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Now, I believe John has a letter of support request from the CEDACOG Joint Rail Authority.
Yes, Commissioners, before you for consideration is a letter of support submitted by CEDACOG Joint Rail Authority. They are pursuing an RTAP grant application. The funding would be applied to repair 4 bridges along the Juniata Valley Railroad and 1 bridge along the Nittany and Bald Eagle Railroad in Center County. These bridges have been classified as C1 bridges, which indicates structural repairs are needed and to ensure long-term rail and freight service. As some background, the RTAP grant program is administered by the Bureau of Rail, Freight, Ports, and Waterways at the state and is responsible for evaluation of all grant applications. The Rail Transportation Assistance Program, the RTAP, has a maximum state funding towards a project of 70% towards total project costs. It's a very competitive program. For reference, last year, the governor announced awards totaling $42.5 million towards rail freight infrastructure projects, and that was awarded in December. So before you for consideration is the letter of support.
Great, John. Thanks for mentioning that. And obviously, rail is very important, primarily for industry, but also now with the Bellefonte Historic Railroad being quite revitalized for tourism and economic development of other types as well. Commissioner Concepcion, comments or questions?
We're glad they're putting this application in.
Commissioner Dershowitz?
Well, it looks like it's part of the construction is a culvert along the Nittany and Bald Eagle Rail line
Yeah.
here in Center County, so we appreciate that. So
Yeah.
happy to support it.
Good. We'll take a motion then.
I will move to approve the letter of support for the CEDACOG Joint Rail Authority RTAP grant application.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the letter of support for the CEDACOG Joint Rail Authority RTAP grant application. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. All right, moving on to our authorities, boards, and commissions. We have Thomas Songer III and Ron Hoover on the Ag Land Board, who are both being reappointed. And then we have also Cindy Harding on the Ag Land Board, whose term is expiring. We'd like to thank all three of them for their service to the Ag Land Preservation Board. I think at one point or another, all three commissioners have served as a liaison to that particular board. Unless there's any comments or questions, we'll take a motion.
I'll move to approve the ABC reappointments and term expiration.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the ABC reappointments and term expirations. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. We'll move on to our check run with the mention that the dollar figure on that, I believe, will need to be left off for this particular week due to some minor changes.
Okay. The check run I'd like to take note of this week is to CenterSafe. They're an important county partner in supporting victims of domestic violence and providing a wide variety of services for them. And with that, I would move that we approve the check run dated August 23rd, 2024.
Just to be clear, the revised number is the correct one?
Yes.
$856,955.69. Is that what we're approving today?
That is the amount, yes.
All right. I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the check run dated August 23rd. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. We'll move on. Do we have an administrator's report this morning, John?
We do. As you know, by resolution, the county administrator, myself, has the ability to authorize certain expenditures that do not exceed $30,000. That would be relative to contract renewals, licensing, service agreements, legal expenditures, etc. These items are typically budgeted line items, and then there is an exception there for emergency services. What I need to bring to your attention is that over the last few months, there have been a couple legal costs that have come in that were authorized through the check run, so they were publicly authorized expenditures. However, I failed to report them as part of my quarterly administrator's report and authorize them by resolution. And I wanted to bring to your attention that the legal cost total was $7,820.70. I have completed the authorization by resolution, so that paperwork is now in place, and I am apologizing to the board for this oversight, and that everything is in place, and I am now satisfying the requirement to report it under administrator's report.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Chad. So we just went over a not to exceed number by a few $1,000.
Yes.
All right. Appreciate your diligence on that.
Yes, and this particular project will come to fruition here shortly, and we'll be able to do something formal to encapsulate total costs relative to this project, which will ultimately result in significant savings for the county.
Great. Any other questions on this one?
No, I'm fine. I
Okay.
look forward to seeing the final product.
Great. All right. Thank you very much, John. Moving forward with reports and announcements, voter registration report.
Okay, today on our voter registration report, we have 101,379 total voters registered in Center County. That is down 181 from the last report, last week. Of those, Democratic voters make up 42,160, Green Party 150, Libertarian 595, no affiliation voters 14,283, and Republican voters are 41,214. All of the other smaller parties comprise 2,977 voters. Our party of the week this week is the Neutral Party. They have one registered voter. Moving on to our precinct of the week, we're recognizing Patton Township, precinct 67, South 2. This precinct in Patton Township has 1,491 registered voters. At the last election, they had a voter turnout of 16.83 in April. I'm guessing there are a lot of student voters in that precinct. They vote at the Oakwood Presbyterian Church at 1865 Wattle Road, and we'd like to thank that church for allowing us to use their facility for elections. That's the report.
Great. Under other announcements, Center County government offices will be closed on Monday, September 2nd, in observance of Labor Day. John, do we have any executive sessions to report or hold?
No executive sessions to report or hold.
All right, and the remainder of our public meeting schedule, Thursday, August 29th, is kind of busy. We have Finance Committee at 9, combined Board of Commissioners and Salary Board meeting at 10, and a Retirement Board meeting at 1. And then Tuesday, September 3rd, is the Board of Commissioners meeting at 10 a.m. Seeing no press in the room, don't think we can take any questions from them at this point. I believe we can take a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn at 11:18. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Great, thanks, everybody.